For 1,656 years after Adam, something happened on earth so dangerous that God wiped almost every trace of it away. Not just people, but cities, knowledge, and an entire civilization. The Bible covers those lost centuries in only a few verses, yet hidden inside Genesis are clues of a world far more advanced than most imagine. Cain, the first exile, built a city. His descendants mastered music, engineering, and metalworking. Tubal-Cain forged tools from brass and iron long before such technology should have existed. Humanity was advancing rapidly, but something darker was also rising. Genesis 6 says, "The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Ancient texts describe these beings as bringing forbidden knowledge to mankind, hidden sciences, spiritual practices, and powers humanity was never meant to control. Then everything changed. But the deeper Genesis goes, the darker the story becomes. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. The real mystery is not why the flood came. The real mystery is what humanity became before it did. As humanity spread across the earth, the line of Cain began building far more than simple settlements. Hidden inside Genesis 4 are signs of a civilization advancing at an unnatural speed. Cain, cursed and driven away after killing Abel, somehow built a city and named it Enoch. A city meant organization, engineering, labor, and systems far beyond primitive survival. Then his descendants transformed the world even further. Jabal became the father of such as dwell in tents and of such as have cattle, creating large-scale systems of movement and livestock. Jubal became the father of all such as handle the harp and organ, turning music into a powerful force within society and culture. But the most mysterious was Tubal-Cain, described as an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. In only a few generations, humanity moved from farming to advanced metalworking. Fire, tools, and engineered craftsmanship began reshaping the ancient world. That rapid progress is what makes the story so unsettling. Civilizations normally take thousands of years to reach this level of development, yet Genesis describes massive technological growth happening almost immediately after mankind left Eden. Something was accelerating human knowledge far beyond what should have been possible. And this was only the beginning, but Genesis hints that humanity did not rise alone. As civilization expanded in the land of Nod, another influence may have entered the story, one far beyond human knowledge. Genesis 6 declares, "The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." According to the book of Enoch, these beings were the Watchers, angels who descended to earth with forbidden knowledge. Nearly 200 of them, led by Semjaza, rebelled on Mount Hermon and revealed secrets humanity was never meant to possess. Azazel is said to have taught mankind the craft of metalwork, armor, and tools of conflict. Others revealed astrology, enchantments, and the movements of the heavens. Penemu taught writing and ink, spreading knowledge faster across generations. Zariel revealed the cycles of the moon and hidden patterns tied to nature and agriculture. At first, it looked like progress. Civilization advanced rapidly, technology expanded, knowledge spread across the earth. But beneath that growth, something darker was taking shape. Humanity had gained power long before it had gained wisdom. And what came next would change the entire meaning of the flood. But the rise of forbidden knowledge came with a terrifying cost. Genesis 6 says, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and after the Watchers took human women, something unnatural began spreading across the world. The Nephilim appeared, mysterious beings described as mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Ancient traditions portray them as enormous, powerful, and feared across the earth. As their influence grew, humanity itself began to change. Violence spread rapidly, and Genesis records that the earth was filled with violence. Civilization was no longer advancing toward order. It was collapsing into corruption. Some ancient cultures preserved echoes of these events in stories about demigods, titans, and heavenly beings descending from the skies. Sumerian, Greek, and other ancient legends all describe powerful figures who brought hidden knowledge to mankind. The similarities are difficult to ignore. What began as progress had become distortion. The boundaries of creation were being crossed, and the human world was transforming into something it was never meant to become. As corruption spread across the earth, ancient civilization appeared to reach a level of knowledge that still puzzles the modern world. Massive stone structures were raised with astonishing precision, and some believe the foundations of later monuments, pyramids, ziggurats, and megalithic sites preserved echoes of that lost age. But the danger was not only in architecture. According to ancient traditions tied to the Watchers, forbidden knowledge expanded into every part of society. Humanity pursued powers it did not fully understand, blurring the boundaries between the natural and the unnatural. Genesis warns that all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Even the Tower of Babel later reflected mankind's desire to reach beyond its limits. Genesis 11 records, "Let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven." It was more than pride. It was humanity attempting once again to reclaim forbidden power. And while civilization grew stronger outwardly, morally it was collapsing from within. Violence, arrogance, and rebellion were spreading faster than ever before. At last, the corruption reached a breaking point. Genesis declares that all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth, and the destruction was no longer limited to human behavior alone. The entire world had fallen into chaos. Violence filled the earth, boundaries were collapsing, and creation itself was being distorted. Then one man stood apart. Genesis says, "Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God." While the world around him descended deeper into rebellion, Noah remained separate from the corruption spreading across humanity. Through him, a future for mankind would survive. Then judgment came. The fountains of the great deep were broken open, and rain covered the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Cities vanished, towers disappeared. The achievements of that ancient world were buried beneath water, mud, and time. Whatever knowledge once fueled that civilization was lost with it. Only fragments remained silent, ruins, massive stones, and mysteries that still leave the modern world searching for answers. When Noah stepped out of the ark, he did not rebuild the world that had been destroyed. Genesis says the first thing he built was an altar. That moment marked a complete break from the path humanity had followed before the flood. The lesson was clear. Knowledge without God leads only to ruin. Then God established a covenant with mankind, placing the rainbow in the sky as a sign that the earth would never again be destroyed by water. But the memory of the old world did not disappear completely. Across ancient cultures, strange echoes remained. Legends of lost civilizations, sky beings, and forgotten ages appeared in stories from Mesopotamia, Egypt, and beyond. Some believe these were distant memories of the world before the flood, a civilization erased, yet never fully forgotten. But perhaps the most chilling part is this. The Bible never describes those missing centuries in detail. It is as if certain knowledge was intentionally left buried. Because if humanity once gained power it could not control, what would happen if that knowledge returned again? Jesus gave a chilling warning about the future. He said, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Those words may describe far more than human wickedness. They point back to a world obsessed with power, knowledge, and crossing boundaries that should never be crossed. Today, humanity is once again pushing toward technologies that seem almost limitless. Genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and the merging of man with machines are rapidly changing the world. The line between the natural and the artificial grows thinner every year. At the same time, modern culture has become fascinated with beings from the skies, advanced civilizations, and hidden knowledge promising to transform humanity. The parallels to the ancient world are difficult to ignore. In many ways, society appears to be rebuilding Babel again, not with stone towers, but with global systems, digital networks, and technologies connecting the entire world. But the story of Noah carries a warning. A civilization can become incredibly advanced while collapsing morally at the same time. The flood revealed that progress without wisdom eventually leads to destruction. And according to Scripture, history may be moving toward those same conditions once again. The ruins of the ancient world still stand like silent warnings scattered across the earth. Massive stone structures, unexplained artifacts, and mysterious mechanisms continue to challenge the idea that modern civilization is the first to reach advanced knowledge. Some discoveries seem far ahead of their time, as though fragments of a forgotten age survived the flood. But Scripture repeatedly shows what happens when humanity pursues power without wisdom. The line of Cain built cities, forged metal, and expanded knowledge, yet their world still collapsed. There is no new thing under the sun, as Ecclesiastes warns. History does not simply move forward, it repeats. After the flood, the rebellion quickly returned. Genesis says, "And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth." In the land of Shinar, mankind gathered again to build Babel, another attempt to unite human ambition against divine boundaries. What had been buried beneath the waters was beginning to rise once more. The deeper message behind the lost years is not merely about ancient technology. It is about the danger of knowledge disconnected from truth. The giants vanished. Their kingdoms disappeared. Yet the desire to reach beyond human limits survived in the heart of man. And that may be the oldest pattern in history. The deeper message of the flood is not only about destruction, it is about boundaries. From Genesis to Revelation, Scripture warns that some doors were never meant to be opened. When humanity crossed those limits in the days of Noah, the world descended into chaos. That ancient pattern may be closer to our world than many realize. Modern society once again chases knowledge that promises power beyond human limits. Genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and the desire to reshape humanity itself echo the ancient ambition first seen before the flood and later at Babel. Ecclesiastes says, "There is no new thing under the sun." History may not be repeating exactly, but the direction feels hauntingly familiar. Because the deeper you look into Genesis, the more it begins to feel less like ancient history and more like a warning about the world unfolding right now. The flood was not a myth carried by one culture alone. Nearly every major civilization preserved memories of a great deluge that reset the world. The Bible gives those memories a moral context. A civilization became corrupted and judgment followed. That is why the lost years matter. They reveal that technological progress does not guarantee wisdom. Entire kingdoms vanished despite their power. Giants disappeared. Cities collapsed. Yet one truth remained. Humanity's greatest danger has never been knowledge itself, but the belief that mankind can become like gods without consequences. And perhaps that is the warning Genesis was preserving all along.